Daredevil #3, written by Saladin Ahmed, art by or pencils by Aaron Cooter and Fareed Karami. Me and you didn't realize there were two artists, and right before we started recording this, we were going through it. Once we realized, then it's very obvious, the deal. Each one has their pluses and minuses. I like Aaron Cooter's art a lot in this. He doesn't do tons of pages, but they're pretty good. And this Fareed Karami, I'll give you, he likes to draw a muscular man.
Yes, he does.
At the point where I don't think I've seen Daredevil as muscular as he is in a couple of the scenes. It's kind of cool. Then you have inks by Cam Smith and Fareed Karami and colors by Jesus Zerbatov, letters by VC's Clayton Coles. And we're going to keep doing the combo. Matt is Father Matt, but he's also Daredevil. The problem by the end is you don't really get to do too much of each because you're dividing that up. You're kind of going a slow burn story. I don't hate it. I've said it last issue. I'll say it again here. It hasn't hooked me yet. I haven't had a point where I've said, and though in the positive spin of that, it hasn't lost me either. So I'm just kind of like in the middle waiting for something to happen. By the end of this issue, you have a cliffhanger that I think that Saladin Ahmed thinks it's going to be the thing to hook me. Me and you don't really think it is.
No.
But we'll get to that in a second, where you do have Matt going around. You have a lot of narration, but it doesn't get heavy-handed. It's not, it's not pretentious. It's just him going around. But he keeps repeating himself. I get it. The idea, you're going to tie in a lot of, biblical reference stuff because of the Father Matt, but you're also going to go with him trying to figure out a couple things. And one of the big things is Ben Urich. Ben Urich. And the funny thing in this is we find out, because we are pretty sure, and we saw Reveal All Devils, the online crazy, troll account.
Yeah, message board or something.
Ben Urich's. But then Ben Urich, it seems, but Ben Urich is then taking that to say it's a source to then print stuff.
He's out of control.
I don't know that it almost feels like he's going one step too far. If in fact he is the Reveal All Devils, screw that. Just say, because he is a really kick-ass reporter. He's a really good, just say it's your info. Because you're printing this, and Robbie's losing his mind of, you're just printing stuff that this wackadoo online guy is doing. And he's like, you don't know. And at points, he does get kind of mad. Like, you don't understand that.
Oh, yeah, he's freaking out.
It's personal. Robbie, you should be able to see this. Now, Robbie is there shaking his head like, this isn't you. This is ridiculous. I was waiting for Robbie to straight up say, listen, I dealt with J. Jonah Jameson for so long with the Menace crap, and now we're doing this again now with Daredevil. Like, stop it. And so he just says, I do it. I'm running it. And Robbie goes off. The guy's lost his mind. Well, in the meantime, Matt is watching all this from the rafters, and he is like, this isn't Ben. And it's not. And that's where me and you were talking. You actually came up with the idea that we got away from that first issue. You ended up having that demon. We think it was Sloth. It kept telling Matt to relax, don't do this. Other people, there was a big controversy about it, but put that aside. And we think it was the idea of Sloth, one of the deadly sins. So we ended up looking up. You looked up the deal. And this might end up being another demon. Because remember, everybody, we ended up seeing that demon possessing Elektra in a way that looked really neat. Like, we thought it was kind of a cool play.
Yeah.
Now, is this where Ben is we don't see the demon per se, but he is being possessed at this point. And when we looked at the sins, it could be greed is what we thought.
It would explain how he was able to own Daily Bugle, too.
Yeah, and things with this of him even getting upset about the source. Seems to be him. And
he wants more clicks.
He says, we want clicks. He's all into it. Even that, when he says clicks, that throws Robbie. Like, that's what we're dealing with, clicks. And I'm thinking, yeah, Robbie, that's what you're dealing with, because nobody's buying a newspaper. Please, you better get on the trolley yourself. I still want the idea here to go back to when J. Jonah ended up having that podcast. I need more J. Jonah podcasting. Would be hilarious. I wish that they mentioned J. Jonah at this point. But Robbie's lost his mind. And we both think that he's being possessed. Whether it is the overall deal of the deadly sins, even if it's not, we do think that he's being possessed to do this. And I think what you're having the play is, and a lot of people, I saw some reviews, are bringing up the idea. We even said when we were talking, we got away from that demon, and it's weird because it just got shoved aside. I think that Saladin Ahmed is trying to lay low with it so that we're shocked when we find out.
There's going to be 7 people or 7 sins or whatever. It's not just, so far
that's
we think we've seen 2.
When it does happen, we'll pat ourselves on the back. I was just going to gloat for us. And if we're wrong, we will deny it all. We will not remember anything.
We'll delete the podcast. Nobody will ever know.
Yeah, really. I'll get mad. Don't put it in a review or it's gone. So you end up where all this, like, I do think he's laying low so that we kind of forget about that. Maybe at the point where he's playing the game of, you kind of get annoyed, like, man, oh my God, he didn't forget about it. Might be kind of cool. Yeah. But in the meantime, we have the other thing. Matt's doing the Father Matt stuff, and I will continue to complain about the idea that you keep getting officials involved. You keep getting investigations happening. Oh my God, we got to go and see St. Nicholas's School for Wayward Children. We're looking into this with a fine-tooth comb. Who do they think Matt is? We keep saying this, and somebody might say the idea, well, of course, it's just Matt. But where are they going to mention the idea that world-famous, blind lawyer Matt Murdock is now a priest? They never have said anything. Like, at a point, you could even have this lady, because a lady comes to see and look through and see if everything's, up to speed here. She could say, listen, you were a lawyer, you know how things are, or, something very easy, but I don't think that's the case. Yeah. So what is it on the books? What do they think? Where did he grow up? What is he? How is he? All of a sudden, he's just Father Matt. They just kind of brush it aside. Sense. Even though they're like really going through all these other things, I just need it to be reference of what they think he is or isn't. I don't know, because I don't. He also looks like Matt Murdock. It's so weird. Like, what is the play here, right?
It's Mephisto or nothing. I don't know what's going on here, but something like that.
If you end up, or should have already, the idea where when Matt came back, and he does say, I came back, the grace of God, oh my God. And I still, and I've said it from the beginning, can't be so sure that he doesn't know either. And it may find out like, oh, it was the devil, this whole play, but whatever's going on. But in that, did everybody's mind get erased but Elektra knows? It's so weird.
It is weird. We'll have to just wait and see, I guess.
Doesn't quite jive with me overall, but it doesn't ruin anything. Every time we have something where like this lady comes in. Next thing though, when you end up, and these kids, they're a little sassy, right? They got some spunk to them,
they
right?
They definitely do.
They end up where they're kind of endearing. You don't want them to be separated. We don't know too much about them, but what little we know kind of works out. It kind of works out with the idea of like, okay, well, I kind of like them, and they seem like Matt and the other priests, but you got to sit these kids down. And I said to you, these kids, to me, aren't the kind of kids who, they're in the system. They have something good going here. Don't throw shade and antagonize
Child
the
Protective
lady
Services
who comes here to decide if you belong here and if they should shut it down. You're doing the opposite of what you should do, because they're like, get out of here, you rando. Like, what's going on? The other father, he's losing his mind. He can't end up. He's like, oh, Dios mio. He's all upset. And the rest of them are like, hey, get this jerk out of here. And they're waiting for Matt.
They're like ready to fight her or something.
Really? I mean, if Matt didn't walk in, and this lady, you could tell, was actually being very nice. She's trying to learn their names. She's saying, listen, just calm down. I'm not here to separate you. I see things. Matt comes in disheveled. What's going on? He comes flying in. Hey, sorry, I'm late. And they're like, okay, let's go talk. So they end up going in this other room to talk, like a little office deal. And Matt is there, and he's making and pouring her coffee. And I don't know why, but I thought that you even said with me, it's like he's going too far. Like, it's so funny. Like, she's watching him, and she does, again, could she be a demon? I don't know.
I think she's related to that. I'm just thinking about that now. I think she's one of the people checking in on him.
Yeah, like, look at how she's going. Like, she seems way more concerned with looking at him and trying to figure him out than the kids. And if you ask me all around, I think that she wants this thing to stay as it is so that they know where he is. Like, the idea where they can find him here, because she's really, like, at points, she is putting her glasses down, like she's really checking him out of like what's going on with this guy. I'm actually surprised she doesn't do the trick where, maybe it's even the idea she doesn't even believe he's blind, whatever, like she drops something to see if he reacts or whatever. But Matt's smart enough for that. But the deal is, I said it would be funny if he's like pouring coffee and it's missing the cup. And then she gets his empty cup and has to pretend that she's so polite. But yeah, she seems a little off. And it's weird.
She's definitely sus.
The way that the art plays out, again, I do like the art. This is where you get the art change. And maybe it's the art change, but she seems like a little off. Don't you agree? Like she seems like sly. Like
I was thinking that her eyes were going to twinkle red or something.
It's like her eyes, and that again would be a cool play because Matt wouldn't maybe notice, but she does end up like having this weird demeanor once she gets into that room, even though what she's saying is nice. It's kind of weird.
The thing she says to him, what the next page though, with the great Aaron Cruder art, has him basically say, after talking to her, I'm looking to hurt someone tonight. So obviously whatever she said, which didn't seem that bad to us, obviously affected him in a way that he wanted to go kick some ass.
Yeah, and you know what? That's what the weird play. We might have to look at this because, again, when you ended up what we thought was Sloth Deal, wanted to affect Matt and say, come on, just, take a nap. You don't need, you're too overworked. You're done. So maybe this is one of the, and maybe that's what goes up because he is really pissed off. So what could that be? I don't know.
Maybe
it is wrath. Maybe that's the play. I mean, kind of cool thing. We're kind of throwing things out there. It may not be that, but kind of a cool way to kind of look at it, because then he goes off to get that gang, the Heat.
He's over the top here, though. His reaction is not in line with what he just dealt with.
Also, he's muscular like I've never seen the man before. I mean, the muscles on muscles, this guy. But this was, again, that was that gang from before. And even when he's doing this, it ties in because those cops that came to kind of give him crap before, they are part of this gang. It's a very weird deal, but he is beating the crap out of people. And you do have that interplay or that juxtaposition that I think that Saladin Ahmed is doing pretty cool with, where there he is. He's Father Matt. He's helping these kids. He's really good with the kid. But then when he goes out as Daredevil, I mean, he is here like way over the top. Like this is stuff he's going to have to do confession to himself with all the stuff that he's doing. And at the point where he's really, really going over the top and ends up just destroying them all. And they're in just wreckage. He brings the house down. And then he's like going through the one guy's phone. And you have these things with Saladin Ahmed wants to really make sure that we understand that he knows that Matt's blind. So you have things that, I don't know, it kind of slows things down where he's like, well, I fumble with the phone because I don't know this. And I have to do that just to then get this message. And he ends up getting this message and he hears the voice. He's like, I would remember that voice from, 80 lives from now. It's Bullseye. That's the big play. At the end, these guys are being led by Bullseye. He seems to be on the phone and at the point saying like, hey, guess what, guys? I'm Bullseye and I'm in charge. There's not much to it, right? It's not like the idea where he's like, hey, we're doing this or that. He's just telling these guys, just a reminder, I'm Bullseye, bitch. That's all it is. I'm like, all right, it's Bullseye, bitch. And there you go. You get a cool little ending, but you don't love Bullseye.
No, I hope Daredevil takes care of him pretty quickly. And look at his hands, like all the weapons. He's got to throw a key at Matt. Like, it's like, leave me alone. Or like one of those little mini golf pencils. I don't want to get hit by that.
He has a screwdriver. He has a card. He has a key. He has a knife. He might have what looks like a vape. A throwing star. I'm like, well, I understand that everything you grab is a weapon, but seriously, you don't have to run around like you're Chris Angel.
I think the card would be the worst thing to get hit by. I don't know. Slice you.
I actually wouldn't love getting hit by that throwing knife. Like he's actually, like the idea, that's my favorite thing about, or that throwing star. The idea where Bullseye, in my mind, gets so hyped up with all of his press clippings that he doesn't actually pick up real weapons now. He's like, oh, look at that. I'm looking on my desk. I'm like trying to Kaiser Sose this. Oh man, a cranberry. I have nothing on my desk to be a weapon, but he can turn anything into a weapon. I got some dog treats. I got a wrapper here, a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts cups, all weapons. He's going to get us. But yeah, at the end, I'm like, all right, I see what you're doing. I see what's going on and whatnot, but I don't really care to have Bullseye here, especially because, there's some things left on the table already. And then it always feels like this early, something like this is like, ooh, we're afraid it's not selling. We're afraid we don't have the oomph moment, the wow moment, so let's get it involved. But I could have dealt without Bullseye, get some of the other things wrapped up, because now that we were talking about it, I hope to God it's true that we're getting a bunch of these demons around, because that's actually kind of interesting to me.
It is interesting.
He came back from hell. He doesn't really know how or why. He thinks it's to be this priest.
He owes something to somebody bad, I think, is what's going on here.
We'll see. I also want him to maybe get a hold of Foggy and Cole and maybe some other people. Elektra was in and out because she wants to leave him alone. But I said to you, she wanted to leave him alone because, he's Father Matt. He always wanted to do this. I'm going to let him have his good life that he deserves. He's out kicking ass as Daredevil. Like, somebody's got to get involved. He seems, again, like when he saw Ben and said, he's out of control. What's going on? He's kind of doing that as well. So we'll have to see. But what would you give it?
Originally, I was going to go 7. I'm going to bump it up to a 7.5 just after talking to it.
You know what? I was going to go 6.5, and I'm bumping up to 7.
There you go.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.